What is going on, everybody? Kaiju Poo back again, bringing you guys yet another review. This time around, I think I'm gonna do things a little bit differently, just so I can start pushing out these videos for you guys faster. A lot of my older videos are usually pre-recorded with me voicing over everything that I do, so I think it's just easier if I talk through it as I go through the review in itself. Just makes it easier on me in the editing processes and makes it easier getting these videos out to you as soon as possible. So without further ado, welcome back to my channel. As you can see here, this review has been long overdue. We have the Kong Skull Island Skull Crawler, Skull Devil. So this is essentially the bigger of the two, essentially in the movie called The Big One. This figure was sent to me, thank you to Hiya. I've been working with Hiya now for, I think, about a year or so now, taking photography photos for them, and then also doing these reviews and pushing them out. So thank you, Hiya, for giving me the opportunity to make these videos with these figures that you guys create. It's greatly appreciated. Now, getting on to the packaging, as I said before in my past videos and in today, the packaging for these figures are kind of varied now, it seems. I can say Hiya is taking the step in towards a different direction when it comes to the overall themes that comes with these boxes. I think they're starting to improve. These are more they're prettier in my opinion. I think the boxes are a big improvement. I think the design and whatnot is all fairly the same, but the overall look now shows more than just what looks like to be some fan art thrown onto a box and a figure put inside. They're starting to take their time with it. I can tell, like, they're getting more creative with the overlook. The box's themes match the movies in which they come from, which I've always appreciated. And as you could see, as I said before, the overall layout of the box continues to be the same, with various pictures of the figure posted all throughout of it. Then we have the branding and also the information on the back, which talks about the figure, of which I am assuming, of course, because I have absolutely no idea what that says. Oh, actually, it's in English. My bad, my bad. But anyways, yeah. So I think Hiya is stepping in the right direction when it comes to the box art. I think it is something I actually want to hold on to nowadays, rather than just take it out and throw it away. I think this is, for me as a collector, is um storage worthy. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep this box. So now that we have the figure out of the box, my first thoughts on seeing this thing is, man, does this thing look incredible. I think Hiya, and I think we can all agree with this, is very good at capturing the essence of the creatures from the movies. Now, do they always get it 100%? No. I mean, I don't think we'll ever have a figure that is 100% accurate to a movie, show, or whatever have it be. So with what we have here in front of me, I think this is a great. I think this figure looks great for what it is. Obviously, there's some things that I'll talk about later on that bother me, and it was kind of like a design choice that I not preferred, but I'll cover that later on. But first glance, I think this thing looks wonderful. The overall paint applications, which is like a black with a green mix. I'm not too exactly sure how they got it. I'm assuming it's through various mixtures and whatnot, and then they splat it onto the figure, and then that's what it looks like. But I like how in certain parts, when the light hits it, you can kind of see that green hue rather than that continuous black or like a solid color. I think it is very nice when toy companies, figure companies, model companies, whatever have it, um, are able to add the extra bit of details, especially in the coloration, which helps bring out the details in the figure. So first glance, everything looks great. From the white of the head to mimic a skull, all the way down to the tail, where you have that green, black, brown kind of colorway to them. I'm not too exactly sure. And then looking at the arms, you have a nice, what seems to be, to me, what I call it as a painter myself, looks like to be a dry brush of white over the arms, which kind of shows it that rugged skin, and then you have that nice little, it looks to be like his little horns or whatever it is on the elbow. But yeah, overall, I think Hiya does a wonderful job in capturing the figure. I think the details that they're able to get from the CGI models and then how they implement it into the figure, I think it's just, they make for a wonderful combination from when Hiya gets the artist in and everything like that, and they all compound into one. I think we have a solid figure. Now, obviously, it's hard to compare what we could have in other companies aside from Playmates. Playmates came out with a more so for the younger kids, I think is where the spotlight or focus is more towards. So it's obviously not going to look as good. But for this being the first skull crawler we've gotten in the past years of it, the movie being released, I believe it was released in 2016, 2017 timeframe. Can't really remember for sure. But yeah, I think this is a wonderful looking figure. I can't wait to break this down for you guys so you guys can get my opinion and I can also hear what you guys have to say about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break this thing down. All right, now that we have the figure in full view, again, I'm going to touch on the details and the painting real quick. As you can see, everything looks great. Up into the head and to the tail, everything has a nice colorway to it, from the white of the head all the way to the green and brown. Black washes all throughout the body, I'm not too sure, but all in all, the thing looks great. You've seen highlighted in the pictures and small little captures prior to now. So let's get into the articulation. Now, as I said before, and how I like to do my reviews, I like to start from the top down. So first thing we'll take a look at is the mouth. So the mouth, I'm not too exactly sure, it's like all on one. I don't know if it's like a hinge joint or what exactly it is on the inside, or like maybe even like a lever joint. I'm not too sure. I'm not really familiar with how figures are made, and so I'm probably sound like a novice or a, you know, uneducated person when it comes to figuring out the name of the joint. So I'll have to do my own digging one of these days just to figure it out so I know what I'm talking about here. But yeah, so as you can see, we have a nice window here for the mouth. As you can see though, one thing I do not like, so I love the detailing on the inside of the mouth is great. Obviously you can see the teeth look really good. He's missing the upper ones, or maybe they're up there, they just need to be painted. Yeah, they're definitely up there. They're definitely longer in the movie. I'm not complaining about it. As I said, this is the first figure we've gotten of the skull crawler aside from the Playmates, accurate to the movie, and I'm not really too much complaining about it. But as you can see, that this is a soft rubber on the inside. I like it for the texture purpose of it being a mouth, but aside from that, I think they should have went with something else. As for like the membranes on the side, because as you can see here, there's some slight wear, and I'm assuming this is going to be a problem later on as time goes on, and the more you use this figure, pose it and whatnot, it's going to become an issue. But as you can see, it is a rubber material on the inside. Not something I would prefer. As you can see, it's starting to separate from the actual head sculpt itself. You know, if you go too far, you'll probably lose it or probably pop out, tear. I'm not too exactly sure. But for design choice, it looks good, but maybe they could have went with a different material, or just, you know, kept the rubber specifically to like the interior of the mouth, not really towards the membranes and whatnot. I think that was a little much. I think you'll get more damage than good for that, but obviously, you know, this is their first iteration. They tend to listen to what the community has to say, so let's continue forward. So yeah, so we got the jaw can extend quite a bit, but as I said, it starts to pull away. The membrane starts to pull away from the head sculpt, so I'm not gonna over stress it. I think showing you guys that it opens about this far is good, and I'm sure it can open even further, but you'll start to lose the natural continuity of the head to the membrane, and I'm not willing to risk it, especially with this figure. So yeah, but so moving down to the neck is on a ball joint, I want to say. I wish it was like a combination like we have here, like a ball joint hinge joint, which would probably allow for you to get more neck movement. You can only really move it side to side so much. You can get like a full 360 rotation, which is really nice. But what is that any good in natural poses, right? I think where we could have had a some type of joint or ball joint or hinge joint would be probably like right in the head department. and just allowing it to cant down, cant up, because there's some scenes, you know, this will hinder, this articulation here will hinder you from doing some certain like recreations, especially like, you know, he's standing up on his tail looking at Kong. You can't bend his head down, just have him stare back. So you're kind of limited there. But aside from that, not too many complaints. As I said, it's on a ball joint, so you can move it. Not really much side to side movement there. I'm not gonna force it because I don't know how fragile these figures are, but you get some decent neck rotation. You start to lose the continuity here, which, you know, leads to the gaps, but you can kind of hide it depending on the angle and whatnot, so it's not too bad. You can only look up, you know, organically with his neck, can only look up about that far, and down about that far. You know, maybe with the extra crunching and whatnot, he can look down and up a little further, but if we're staying towards the neck, then that's about as far as it can go. So moving down now to the neck connects to the torso, you get the same amount ball joint here, which allows for it to get a full 360, and same as I said, you can get like a little bit of a side-to-side movement. Up and down is very limited. All right, now moving down toward the torso, I'm gonna base the torso from the base of the neck to the beginning of the tail, so about this section right here. Now, as you can see, it's continued with ball joints and maybe a possible hinge joint, as you can see here. I'm sure if I pull this out, I don't want to force it. I'm sure this section here, or this segment here, you're able to get a full 360. I'm very timid in doing some stuff like that and really forcing a figure to move because I don't like to worry about possible breakage. So I'm gonna leave it. I'll let you guys, you know, your own personal figures, do what you must or do what you want with it. But for me, I only get one of these, and I do not like spending the extra money when I don't have to. So I'm gonna just leave it as is. But yes, you get some nice movement here, left and right. I love that little crunch you can get with the torso there. You can kind of like bend them in. Now, as I said, there's some scenes, right, where the Skull Devil is balancing on his tail, and that's probably why they added that crunch there, to allow him to kind of like look towards Kong, or, you know, whenever he's on his tail, to have his head in the right direction rather than him just being stiff and straight. But you know, it's almost pointless of having that if the head cannot mimic the direction of the body. So I think, you know, if you're gonna have it here, you might as well have added it in the head, neck, whatever. But yeah, it's very nice. I like it. I like what we can get from it. The poses that we can get. I like, you can put the tail on one side, or, you know, cant it one way, or whatever it may be. I think the torso is really good. I think for what it needs to be, I think this is just fine. Not really much to say about it. Just maybe taking a look at the detail again. You could see, I believe in the movie, the spine is in a almost see-through part of the body. It's not really like, how do I explain? It's not really under skin. It's under skin, obviously, but you can see through, and you can see the skeletal build of it. This just looks like, you know, this is the exterior of it, and maybe this is just like rugged skin, or maybe like spikes or spine, you know, not literal spine, but like the outer shell of what's covering the spine. But in the movie, from my memory, is that it is like a clear bit where you can actually see the actual skeletal structure of the Skull Devil. So I think that'd be cool if they added that, like a cool little gimmick, just being able to see the inside of it. That's just my opinion, you know. Figure still looks great as is. But yeah, so that's really all I have to say about the torso. Let's go ahead and move on to the legs. All right, now taking a look at the legs, we'll start from the shoulder. Shoulder is on a ball joint, which also looks to be on a hinge joint, which allows for some nice movement. Move it about that high, that low, and obviously with it being a ball joint, you can then get some different articulation or different like movements with it, depending on what angle of what you have the ball joint placed, which is also really nice. And then going on to the beginning of the bicep, we have a nice little bicep swivel. I don't know if it's on a hinge. No, so missed opportunity there. Maybe if they could have added in a hinge joint there to allow for like more movement. I'm not complaining about the movement we have, But yeah, I think the more the merrier, right? I don't think anyone would complain about having more articulation as long as it doesn't hinder the overall look of the figure or whatnot. So maybe it was a design choice to continuously get the nice looking figures that we have. So maybe that would have caused some issues. I'm not too sure. I'm not a figure designer. But yeah, now moving down to where the bicep meets the elbow, we obviously have that spine or spike right here. Doesn't really get in the way. So you have the movement that connects immediately to the bicep, which allows you to move it down that high and about right there. Like I said, I don't like to force my figures into a position that doesn't feel like it's supposed to be in, so I always leave it. But yeah, so you get a nice bit of hinge joint movement there, and then connecting to the arm, it has its own movement. So from the bicep to the elbow, and then elbow to the rest of the forearm, you have its own free movement. So you have dual. What would have been cool, I've seen it on other figures, is this being its own moving piece as well. So maybe that's what this is supposed to be. I don't know. But I think having this, being able to push it out the way, move this up, have it keeping with the flow of the arm rather than like sticking to one spot would have been cool. Obviously, not a huge deal for me. I think overall, I'm completely happy with what we got going on right there. But now moving down to the forearm, no articulation down the forearm, which is expected. Then moving down to, I guess you want to call that the wrist or ankle. I don't know what you guys want to call it. I'm going to call it the wrist today. So we got a nice, same what we have here in the shoulder, a nice ball joint with what looks to be a swivel. Nice. So yeah, as I said before, depending on where you place the ball joint or angle it, you're able to get some nice movement with the hands. So yeah, I think that's really good. Obviously, what you have here is you're able to do on the other side, so there's no point of really showing. Maybe I can show you guys some poses or whatnot. You're able to get some very nice organic poses, some very what's it called? You're able to get some very expressive poses out of this guy, which is important. Obviously, there's not really much facial expression, so it's really hard to you have to rely on the body language to really tell you the story. So I think that's really good overall from what they did with the articulation. Everything looks great. I'll highlight the detail again. I'll highlight it whenever I can because I feel like a lot of people overlook it sometimes, but I'm really appreciative of what they did here. I think it looks really good. Nice little quick look at the torso because I didn't really hit it up. But yeah, look at that. Nice little underbelly. I think everything looks great. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the tail. All right, so I know a lot of us, when we read the description of this figure, finding out that this is going to be a bendy wire, we were probably all, at least for me, I was like a little iffy on it. I'm not a big fan of bendy wires because from what I remember growing up, bendy wires tend to wear on the outer shell or the rubber in which it's encased in. So personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I think doing the segmented tails like SH Monster Art does would have been fine for this, but maybe we wouldn't have gotten the stability. Maybe the joints would have wore faster, sooner. I will say, you know, this is very hard to bend, so that makes me feel a little good because that means maybe it's reinforced, built to last a little longer. You're kind of limited on how many bends you could put in it, whereas I feel like damn, I feel like as in a segmented tail, you're able to move different parts at different positions. But still, I like one thing I will say, you're able to keep the organic flow of the figure. So maybe that's, again, probably the design choice. They wanted to keep the organic flow. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's cheaper. Companies like to save money too. So I can only imagine the many reasons why they went with this. Am I a fan of it? Not 100%. Am I okay with it? Yeah, I am. It's not really too big of a deal. I think it does what it needs to do for this figure. So yeah, it's not really much to say. Obviously you're limited to certain things. I wouldn't overbend it because you risk breakage or possible snapping the wire on the inside if that's even possible. It's happened to me in older figures. Obviously, we've come a long way since the time of which I first started playing with toys. I won't even say I played with this guy, but you get what I'm saying. But anyways, I think overall, tail looks great, right? The detail, the paint doesn't chip or rub, depending on movement of it. It doesn't rub or tear or start to chip at all if I start to bend it, which is really nice. I don't know what paint they use. I would love to find out because I do a lot of um, home projects and I also do commissions as I've been posting on my page lately. So yeah, there's not really much I can say. I think this thing looks great. Overall, the articulation limits in certain areas, but I think for the next figure that we're getting, as we've seen, they are releasing another skull crawler, the one from GVK that you see Mechagodzilla blast in the face. I think it looks great. Now, one more detail I almost forgot to include is that you can kind of turn the sculpt of the figure around the wire on the inside. So you can kind of get some, like I said, maybe this was a design preference because you can kind of get some very nice flow of the tail. It all looks very organic. You can twist, turn. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm very timid on doing stuff like this, but I thought that was a pretty neat detail. I didn't notice at first. You can kind of turn it and have the skin manipulate and flow with whatever which way you want, which is really cool. And as you can see, really no issue when it comes to the paint when you do the manipulation. So I thought that was a very cool detail, something I didn't notice. Maybe they didn't on purpose. I'm not too sure. Overall, like I said, it's a very cool gimmick. Would have still preferred segment, not a huge deal. I feel like you'd still get the job done with segment details, but I'm not complaining about the wire tail at all. Now leading to my closing thoughts on the figure. Now, overall, as I said earlier, this thing looks great. I think there's a lot to it. Um, as for sculpt, paint applications, and articulation, I think for the price point in which we can buy this, which is, I believe, either $50, $60. I'm not too exactly sure what it's selling for on the market. As I said, I have a partnership. Thank you, Hiya, for allowing me to have this opportunity. But yeah, so I think for the price point in which we got and what we get with the figure, I'm completely fine with it. What I think we should add in the future, what obviously we had seen in the promo shots of the upcoming re-release, different colorway of the skull crawler, is that we have that extended tongue. What I think they should have added for this, in this case, is maybe the internal organs that Kong ripped out of them. Or I don't know, maybe some people or something. I don't know the direction Hiya plans on going when it comes to accessories. They haven't really added much aside from the atomic versions of the Godzilla 2019, and also I believe it is the heat ray from Godzilla and Kong. I'm not too exactly sure. I can't remember. Haven't actually reviewed them yet, so you guys should be on the lookout for that. But yeah, overall, I think this thing looks great. I think we can say that this is the best figure that we have on the market when it comes to the skull crawler. I think Hiya is doing an incredible job with their releases, their past releases. Obviously, we all have our own opinions about Hiya. Us, you know, this kaiju community has a love and hate towards um, Hiya and SH Monster Arts. I think it's just causing more separation in the community rather than bringing us together. But hey, that's unfortunate. Things like this happen. So I'm just happy that I'm a part and able to bring you guys these videos. So thank you guys. I would love to hear what you have to say about this figure. What are your thoughts on it? Maybe letting me know. How did you guys feel about this version of the video? As I said, I do a lot of voiceovers, which takes more time because I have a family, I have work. Uh, Pushing it out like this is actually 100 times more easier. The audio is just a little wonky, a little bit because my mic is unfortunately broken. So until then, we're just gonna have to deal with this echoed audio. So. But anyways, let me know how you guys thought about this review. Should I continue this way or should I continue with the voiceovers? I would love to hear you guys' feedback. This community, these people, my subscribers, you guys make me better. So I'm opening the floor to you guys. So thank you guys for clicking on the video today. I greatly appreciate the time that you took to watch what I have to say about this figure, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy, y'all.